My airtime using MTN Momo because we're good together. We did for you everywhere you go.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live from our studios here at Kokomlemle's Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. We are live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Also on over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Volta Premier in Ho, Radio Max in Takrady, A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bolgatanga, Radio Wa in Wa. You can also listen live on your Spotify and my Joy99.7 app in this edition. Broken bones, bruised skins, and scarred memories. Injured women and children line up to receive medical treatment at the St. Michael's Catholic Church 4 days after the Apiate explosion. We'll tell you the story of a 3-year-old Beatrice Frimpong battling for her life after building collapsed.
It's so painful. She says it was the rubble that fell on her.
Also this afternoon, earlier report of collision between a motorbike and the truck carrying the explosives being contradicted by the rider involved, who claims he had been away from the scene for almost 30 minutes before the blast.
I feel bad.
I'm human. We are all humans with different parents.
We're live in the community as authorities race against time to erect tents for survivors who are now putting up in congested church buildings. Also this afternoon, heavy security step up in Upper East Region, Boko, following renewed chieftaincy violence there. At least 4 persons are reported dead, including a female police officer. We're live there this afternoon. Barely 24 hours to resumption of parliamentary proceedings on the controversial e-levy. The battle lines are clearly drawn as majority and minority sides are sharply divided.
We have had extensive stakeholder engagements.
Since we left the house, nobody had engaged leadership of the minority side.
We may never be able to rely on the Speaker in these circumstances.
Meanwhile, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbing has been calling for consensus building ahead of the crucial meeting of the House tomorrow.
This claim of an independent member being a member of the party in government is erroneous and unconstitutional. Well, he knows very well that if they both belong to the same party, they cannot both hold the positions of deputy speakers of parliament.
We also fact-check claims by the finance minister at a recent news conference on the e-levy.
Marked by an annual average of 7% economic growth rate between 2017 and 2019 from the 3.4% inherited in 2016.
We also have sports.
And Ghana will surpass Nigeria's hurdle in the World Cup playoff. This is according to Executive Council member Fede Champon. We have details in 20 minutes.
And is juju or black magic the source of the Black Stars' declining fortunes?
I don't believe it is the juju or spiritual aspect. What I believe is the foundation. Because when you see the previous under 17, under 20 development through that process, it's not being encouraging at all.
We hear from former president of the Ghana Football Association, who is warning the worst is yet to come unless spiritual champs are eliminated from the game.
Age cheating is one thing too that it destroys our football. Age cheating, and that is what is showing. Most of the boys you see there are over 30 years, I'm telling you.
That and more in this edition of the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. Please stay for details. Many thanks for your company as always. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Sound of 3-year-old Beatrice Frimpong, who was playing with her baby sister when their house collapsed after the explosion at Apiate in the western region. She survived the disaster, but her sister died after the building came crashing down on them. Little Beatrice now has bruises on her face, which is serving as a shelter for the displaced persons. Maxwell Agbagba.
Heartbreaking scenes here as the medical team tries to dress the wounds of some of the people who were injured in the explosion that happened on Thursday. Women and children here
But for this child who is crying, I'm told her sister died as a result of the rubble that fell on her. And today she's here sitting on the lap. It's so painful. But so, she says it was the rubble that fell on her. When the rubble fell on them, she died, her sister died. But she survived it. But survived it with so much pain, with bruises right on her face, on her nostrils, and on her forehead. But we didn't feel it. Saying, what's the Diana?
It don't become
a Jano, a Shawunsa. Tells me that it is the fire that followed the explosion that caused this damage to his right arm, and is also here to receive some support, to have the team here dress his wounds for him.
My colleague Maxwell Agbegba there, supervising nurse at the center, Abraham Coleman, has been providing details of the progress of the treatment of these survivors.
We have set up the OPD unit around the dressing.
So we wouldn't have to board vehicles to come.
Yeah. We have the dressing unit also around. We are currently also preparing a place for the maternity people here, so that those who are pregnant and they have other issues with their pregnancy, they can just go to the nurse who is preparing a place for them to go. And we have also created a place for psychological, to psych them. Even now, we have some people who have some issues when it comes to their sleeping, their fears, anxiety, and other things. Even there is a woman who just came here. She has lost a child. So because of that, she's not really of herself. So we are doing all of these things.
Well, let me take you live to the ground. We'll also hear the account of the rider that's contradicting the earlier stories that we've heard. Also, the MCE on arrangements being made. My colleague Maxwell Agbegba joins us live from the community. Maxwell, we're told a high-powered delegation from the EPA and other agencies are on the ground now. What have they been doing so far?
Well, MFL, the Environmental Protection Agency, we're told, will be here to do an assessment of the community because we're told that there are efforts to reconstruct all the structures that were destroyed here. They were here sometime, that was 2 days ago, but we're told that they'll be arriving here again to do a second assessment. But we've had personnel from the Electricity Company of Ghana arriving here on the ground. We had the Chief Executive Officer himself of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Kwame Ajimangudu, here. He donated an amount of 100,000 Ghana cedis to help the community. He's been speaking to us, and he says that it will cost more than 1 million Ghana cedis to replace what has been destroyed here in this community.
We'll do that later on. Right now, we are not in the process of accounting. We are worried about the safety of the people and make sure the power is on for our people to enjoy. Because of the safety issue, NADMO and the security personnel have stopped us not to engage or continue or restoring the service. We should wait, and we are ready. Whenever they are ready to tell us to go ahead, we will make sure they have. They all have been installed within 40 hours from the time that the incident happened. We stop to all the communities. Yes.
So we have indication that your transformer, exploded in the process, got destroyed in the process. We want to know which other, properties of the Electricity Company of Ghana got damaged in the process.
A lot of wooden poles, low voltage poles, high voltage poles. We have our steel tubular poles, which some of them got bent, destroyed. Conductors were brought down and all that, and it costs a lot. But at this point, we are not worried about the money. We are worried about the safety of our people and the community.
Well, we also know that authorities are racing against time to rebuild the community. Municipal Chief Executive of Prestia Honi Valley, Isaac Dasimani, says a temporary shelter is being provided.
Yes. We go where they are now. We can't keep them forever. There are children there that should go to school and all of that. So for now, what I'm doing is we are sending them to more and a facility that was built by FGR. So we are sending them there. Then we know the rooms, there are 2 big rooms. Then other place is more spacious. And then we also add some tents. Okay. Now the regional minister is also bringing me another 20 tents to house some people. And then GoFace brought about 15 of them that can accommodate about 150 people. Okay. Red Cross also brought some that can host about 120 people. So I think if we are able to create that environment for them, I mean, then we can start dispersing some of the food items because they can cook in the environment, they can do. Then we are also going to provide some cold pot for them and other things. A lot of companies have come in, and then State Housing has been here. Some other agencies are in here.
That's the MC for the area, Mr. Dasmani. Well, I've been talking about the rider and with more on this. Mano, what do we know so far with respect to accounts given by the rider of the motorcycle believed to have
an explosive vehicle moving from Takwa to the Chirano gold mines collided with a motorcycle, resulting in the explosion at investigators from the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service on Sunday, January 23, interrogated a truck driver and the rider of the motorcycle. He collided with a vehicle carrying.
The tricycle crossed the vehicle in front of me. The driver applied his brakes. I also did the same. Then another vehicle hit me from the back. I fell on the road and my motorbike also kept moving. I did not see the car that hit me from the rear because it was behind me. That was the point people rushed me to the hospital, he said. About 30 minutes later, as the medical team prepared to treat my wounds, we heard the explosion. All the nurses fled the hospital because they said there was fire.
So that's the account of the motorcycle rider. But do we know anything about the account given by the truck driver himself?
In fact, the truck driver declined to engage the media after the interrogation, saying he has been, quote, instructed not to speak, end quote. The CID team, however, have indicated that the interrogation would help them to unravel the circumstances that led to the accident and the subsequent explosion.
Okay, well, we're yet to hear from the police on this latest account by the motorcycle rider. Let me take you to the Upper East region now, and at least 4 people have been killed in renewed chieftaincy clashes in Boko. Reports indicate that one of the deceased is a policewoman who was on a visit to the area. Police in the region is yet to make an official statement on the development, but the Regional Security Council has already taken some action banning the riding of motorcycles within Boko and its environs with immediate effect. Regional correspondent Albert Sorry joins me with details on this. Albert, what do we know so far?
Yes, so the latest incident happened yesterday afternoon between the hours of 3 and 4 p.m. We know of the long-standing chieftaincy dispute there, so this was connected to that. There were some shootings. Some of the casualties were taken to the hospital. 2 of them died. We later learned of this policewoman who we are told was posted in Paga but was on a visit to one of her colleagues in Boko. They got caught up in the middle of the shooting, and she was also taken to the hospital after sustaining a bullet wound, and unfortunately she passed. Now there is one other person whom we are learning maybe was one of the perpetrators who was shot at by security personnel, and this person is the 4th person. We are waiting for the police to officially speak on this matter, but it seems that they have tightened the communication channels, and so we have to wait for the commander to give clearance to the regional PRO, who will then officially brief us on.
Well, that's Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Sorry there on the situation, renewed chieftaincy clashes in Boko there. Let me bring you now to Nima here in Accra, and we all recall that clash there sometime last week, and 9 persons were arrested as a result. I have an update on it. Joseph Akable joins me in studio. What do we know?
And so there's a statement from the police on its official handle. It comes along with a photograph that many saw in one of the viral videos that went round of a gentleman wielding a machete. Now, that gentleman, we are told, has been arrested. The statement reads, another suspect in the Mamobi-Nima violence clash arrested. The police, in collaboration with the National Investigations Bureau, yesterday, Sunday, arrested suspect Farouk Dauda, alias Omondi, aged 31 years, who was part of the routers of the Mamobi-Nima clash. He was arrested at his hideout in a suburb of Accra, based on intelligence after having been into hiding after the incident which occurred on January 18, 2022. He goes on to say that he admitted his involvement in the said clash, where he was captured in the video footage wielding a machete as he identified himself in the said footage. A search conducted on him led to the retrieval of a wrapped substance suspected to be Indian hemp. He is currently in police custody assisting with investigations, and efforts are being undertaken to arrest all other persons involved in a violent incident.
Okay, thank you very much, Joseph. Let's head to Parliament now. And in some 24 hours, the House is resuming, and its consideration turned Ghana's Parliament into a chamber of fisticuffs. A free-for-all fight has both sides pushed to have their positions upheld. I'm talking about the e-levy. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta last week assured a bipartisan approval has been obtained for this tax policy said to be crucial to survival of the economy. The minority has been reacting, insisting no such agreement has been reached. Kwesi Parker-Wilson, our parliamentary correspondent, has the rest of the story.
Sounds of chaotic scenes in Parliament during the consideration of the controversial e-levy, which forced the House to adjourn proceedings abruptly. Even before the House prepares to resume on Tuesday, the two caucuses have organized separate meetings to map out their strategies for this session. At a workshop in the Eastern region over the weekend, Majority Leader Oseche Mensah-Bonsu observed that the NDC MPs who are kicking against the policy are aware that Parliament has passed the e-levy.
The receivables from the e-levy have been factored into the various estimates that we have approved for all the sectors. That is the second stage that we did. And then thirdly, when we encapsulated everything into the appropriations bill and passed the appropriations bill unanimously.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is, however, confident of the approval of the e-levy as he insists the minority has been engaged extensively on the matter.
We have had extensive stakeholder engagements, including Parliament, the minority, majority.
But the opposition NDC has described those claims as false, insisting they remain opposed to the levy. Muntaka Mubarak is Minority Chief Whip.
How will you say this? Since we left the House, nobody had engaged leadership of the minority side.
Well, so that's a report ahead of Parliament resuming tomorrow. And we've been talking about the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, at that press conference last week. Let's fact check some of the claims.
Let's start with the Finance Minister's claim on the average growth rate of the economy between 2017 to 2019 and that of 2016.
Marked by an annual average of 7% economic growth rate between 2017 and 2019 from the 3.4% inherited in 2016.
This is mostly true. According to Ghana Statistical Service National Account data on annual GDP, Ghana's economy indeed grew at 3.4% in 2016. Again, the average growth rate in the period under review was 6.93%, as indicated by the same data source. Let's now hear the minister's claim on stabilizing economic growth.
Stable growth, average of 5.3% between 2017 and 2020.
This is completely true. According to the Ghana Statistical Service annual GDP data, the average annual GDP growth for Ghana between 2017 and 2020 was indeed 5.3%. The Finance Minister also made claims about growth rates under the previous administration.
These have been the hallmarks of our administration compared to an average GDP growth of 3.94%.
This is mostly true. Real GDP growth for the period under review was 3.925%, according to the Ghana Statistical Service National Account data on annual GDP for 2013 to 2020.
Joseph Akable of the research desk there, fact-checking some of the claims made by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Well, we all know one major issue that sparked the chaos was whether Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Jose Owusu, can vote when presiding in the absence of the Speaker of Parliament. Ms. Jose Owusu says his colleague NPP MPs must take matters into their hands and make their slim majority count.
We may never be able to rely on the Speaker in these circumstances. We must work with the view that there are 137 of us plus one who may be presiding. In that circumstance, how do we go about reaping the one advantage we have as a caucus? That, in my view, should be the focus. In the chamber, we are called the majority, but it does appear that any time we have to take a decision, we either need Mr. Speaker in the chair or all of us must vote.
First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Jose Wusu, now National Security Minister Albert Kandapa, has meanwhile charged parliamentarians to fashion out strategies in working together. He wants the House to adopt conflict resolution mechanism in addressing their differences. He was speaking at this year's Commonwealth Parliamentary Association workshop on the theme effective parliamentary scrutiny, gender sensitivity and complexity.
It's a parliamentary, the best system for embedding democracies in Africa. Some say yes, but we need to be able to work together to realize the benefits of the parliament. And I think an appreciation of this fact would enable the deadlocks that arise from a hang or a near-hang parliament to be considered as necessary conflicts, which should elicit the application of a proactive conflict resolution mechanism.
We can now hear from Speaker Alban Bagbing, who says a tumultuous majoritarian rule will always meet resistance. He insists the current position of the 8th Parliament is a hang parliament. He also described as erroneous claims by the majority that the independent candidate from Na MP is a member of government.
And this was based on the decision of the electorate to opt for a hang parliament. My friend, the Minister for National Security, has given you a very good perspective. And I agree with him in many areas that he has touched on.
He adds that he cannot be blamed for government not being able to convince MPs to support its business.
And in trying to do this, definitely, a country that is used to tumultuous majoritarian governments will definitely meet resistance and there will be friction. But these are the hidden problems of change, of transformation. And I think that the only way, as he himself said, was to get the two sides to consult more, to dialogue, to cooperate with each other.
Speaker Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbing there speaking at an ongoing parliamentary forum. This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll take a quick break and we ask, is juju or black magic the source of the Black Stars' declining fortunes?
I don't believe it is the juju or spiritual aspect. What I believe is the foundation. Because when you see the previous under 17, under 20 development through that process, it's not being encouraging at all.
We hear from former president of the Ghana Football Association, who is warning the worst is yet to come unless spiritual charms are eliminated from the game. We'll also talk about our encounter with Nigeria in the World Cup qualifiers. That and more here on the Midday News. Please stay.
Hey, Evokoku, what brings you to my house this early morning? I hope all is well.
All is never well with me, Nick Bakbo. After paying 3 times for the land for my project, the construction workers are now giving me wahala. From material overestimation to small stealing. I am tired.
I told you so, Evokoku.
It's all because you are trying to become builders when you're corporate workers and business people. Edlum has products tailored to meet your needs. Villas 3 at Amrahia, where there are finished homes, Conveniente, also at Amrahia, where it's contemporary but super affordable apartments. Prices start from $35,000. And the Avant-Garde, located in Adjurigano, which has sleek luxury apartments. For more information, please visit edlumhousing.com or simply call 0270-166-166. Edlum Housing, where spacious homes cost less.
Many thanks for your company here on the Midday News. Let's do sports comprehensively. And we start with upcoming encounter with Nigeria. They were not as scary as we thought.
You see?
Okay.
And An EXCO member, that is Fede Champon, he's been speaking about that fixture. He says that Ghana have got what it takes to beat Nigeria to qualify to the FIFA World Cup, despite the poor showing of the Black Stars. The Executive Council is very confident that when they do things right, the Black Stars will progress.
I don't believe it is the juju or spiritual aspect. What I believe is the foundation. I believe in the foundation of the Black Stars. Because when you see the previous under 17, under 20 development through that process, it's not being encouraging at all. So I advise the technical team, the GFA, everybody who is involved, to look at that.
This world, there are actually two forces, ruling. That is the kingdom of, God and the kingdom of Satan. So if you're a Christian and then you are a human being and you really do not have God, you should as well have something else. I don't think so. Personally, I don't think that is the cause of, the fall of the Black Stars. I don't think so at all. Because I think that if, no matter how even God is even helping you, you also need to help yourself. Yes, so even if someone is using this juju or whatever it is, or even someone even has God, and you don't practice, you don't really up your game, there is no way you're going to play better.
So this is some residents there telling us about whether black magic or juju actually plays football. Yes. And ahead of the game, we've been talking about it, whether it's actually juju or black magic that is to be accounted for when it comes to the declining fortunes of the Black Stars.
Even in 2012, the former Black Stars coach, Goran Stevanovic, in his report indicated that there's black magic, the chance people were using it against each other and all that. And even recently, in the African Cup of Nations, speaking to some people within the decision-making body in who plays and who does not play, they claim that the coach says that the players need to go through what he describes as mental surgery, because the players feel that there are some people within the playing body who comes in with so much powers that it is difficult for some of them to play. So
okay,
it's really difficult.
That's interesting. But we've been hearing from Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. For him, he's not blaming juju for the poor state of the Black Stars or the Ghana football for that matter. He's actually warning that until the national team does away with age cheating, the situation will be dire.
Listen to me very carefully. If you have 70% of your football 30 plus age or ages, and you use them, you can be sure you fail. Now, modern football is nothing but passion, not just passion, but you must play the ball in such a way that one sees your energy. Modern football is energy. You must be hunger for success. Now, age cheating is one thing too that is destroy our football. Age cheating, and that is what is showing. Most of the boys you see there are over 30 years, I'm telling you. Age cheating, that's why they can't run. That's why they get tired. I was interviewed by George Adu, and I told him that there is no way he will succeed. Muslim will not succeed. He deceived the nation, Ghana. He left unceremoniously for another country, somewhere in Asia. He didn't fare well there. He came back to one of the Arabian countries. They sacked him. And then he was at home doing nothing.
So it appears nobody believes it's there, but it's actually there. From the accounts that we're getting.
There's a perception that it is there.
Okay.
People have got their things. People go into there with powders and all that, and people will see that and describe it as juju. It could be powder. It could be normal powder that you use it to.
You'll be there and be saying normal powder. That's it for the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. And there's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. And top stories that Ekwamuisi writes, Mr. President, ending Ghana's AFCON trophy drought is not about. It goes on. You need to read that for yourself. Police officer shot to death at Boko. We've been talking about it. CETA calls of strike. Members to resume work on Tuesday. That and more on myjoyonline.com. Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil is up next. I am MFA Apa. Many thanks for your company. Have a good afternoon.